Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of the Arsenal Transfer Show. Thank you for taking your seats in the TGT Stadium to keep yourselves up to date with everything that's going on in the world of Arsenal's transfers and more. Thank you so much for making this part of your morning routines as always. I hope you had a fantastic day yesterday and I hope you've got a brilliant one lined up for today as well as we creep ever closer to that match against Bournemouth. It just feels like, because the thing about Arsenal is when life goes so well in the world of Arsenal, your life just starts to revolve even more than it would do usually kind of around that. And so when a game finishes, it's like, oh, that was great, we won, but I want another one. Like, can we play tomorrow? And because of that, obviously, you sit there on a Wednesday going, 3 days to go, Thursday 2 days to go, Friday 1 day to go, and it's frustrating, but it's how it works. European football and cup competitions will start soon, and we won't have to wait as long for games, but we may then wish we had to wait. So let's relish in the excitement around Arsenal that we have right now. Good morning, people joining us in the chat box. Simon, good morning to you, to Matt G, to Cole, Aussie Gooner, Paul, good morning, Kaiser and PJ and Akshat and Anthony, good morning, guys, Ahmed and Lee and Blackshine and NSW, Perez and James and Tulip and Aladipo, and Mo and Amir and Aidan and Stevie and Namdi, Rich Kanu, Manu, and plenty more of you as well. Good morning, guys. Sorry I can't say it to everybody. I would be here for a very, very long time indeed. What we're going to do is, as always, we tell you that we are, for the next few weeks, subscribed to or in a partnership with Football Prizes. Amazing that the last two prizes completely sold out. The draws for those, I believe, are tonight on Facebook, on the Facebook page of Football Prizes, so make sure you go and check those out if you did buy a ticket. However, I'm very happy to announce the next prize is up and available to get involved with if you didn't get involved with the last one, and it's quite an interesting one. It is a signed dual-framed Arsenal montage display of Gilberto Silva and Patrick Vieira. There are 199 tickets available at $4.95. However, and here's the bonus, in those 199 tickets, there are 10 instant win prizes. So what this means is you don't choose your number for your raffle ticket like you usually would. You are randomly assigned a number when you buy a ticket for this raffle. And within that, there are 10 instant win prizes available. What you can win is a Dennis Bergkamp signed and custom framed Arsenal shirt, pretty incredible. A Freddie Ljungberg signed Arsenal montage, an Arsene Wenger signed Arsenal montage, a 2022-23 Arsenal away shirt, which, to be honest, let's be real, is the greatest prize ever. Paul Merson signed Arsenal shirt, £10 worth of Football Prizes site credit, and there are 5 Football Prize site credits at a prize of £5. So basically, you get a free ticket, if you like, for a £5 worth on the site. So of those 199, you got a 1 in 20 chance as well as winning one of those instant prizes too. So link in the description as always. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, but yeah, a pretty cool one. There you go. Let's crack on with today's stories, but first tell you to go and subscribe to the Arsenal Way. I'll be live over there as always at 10 a.m. UK time, so make sure you check those guys out. Monreal retires from football. What a player. I loved Nacho Monreal. I adored watching him play. He's just one of the nicest guys. He's like the left back version of Santi Cazorla. You know, he could do anything with a Satsuma. Remember those videos that he used to do of like doing keepy uppies in his kitchen with the Satsuma and kicking them into the fridge? First of all, who keeps Satsumas in a fridge? I find that a bit strange. Is that strange? I think that's strange. I would keep it outside the fridge. Maybe that's me. I feel like I'd keep a Satsuma. I feel like apples go in the fridge, Satsuma's not for the fridge, but maybe people are going to tell me I'm wrong. But yeah, Nacho Monreal, thank you so much for your service and your football playing over the years. Absolutely brilliant. Obviously won FA Cups with us, made that left back position his own, overtook Kieran Gibbs, and then of course fought with Kieran Tierney in his first year, I believe, before he left for Arsenal. So yeah, amazing stuff from Monreal, and we wish him all the best and hope that yeah, he finds whatever happens next in his career goes brilliantly successful. Yes, Moose, apples in the fridge. A cold apple is the one. Absolutely. Why are we arguing about apples and Satsumas? What a morning. Mike Dean has been removed from VAR for the following weekend of games after, of course, the chaos at Stamford Bridge in which he ignored as many as 3 separate incidents of quite high value nature, which could have stopped both of Spurs' goals. Of course, Richarlison being offside with the Højbjerg goal, the foul on Havertz and the build-up to the cross that came in for the second goal, and of course the hair pull of Christian Romero on Marc Cucurella. But reportedly, Mike Dean has been removed from VAR services. Whilst I hated that game, he did help us out by cancelling that penalty, or getting them to at least have a look at the penalty that Vardy had reportedly won, or supposedly won, I suppose, in that game. So mixed feelings, but probably for the best. Villa are interested in signing Rob Holding, according to Birmingham Live. Of course, Diego Carlos, I think is the surname of the Brazilian centre-back. He has since suffered an unfortunate injury, the new centre-back for Villa, and he could be out for a certain amount of time. He will almost likely miss the Arsenal game against Villa a little bit later on this summer. So that's an interesting thing, that they will be without Diego Carlos. But Villa supposedly want Rob Holding as a potential depth option at the back. Arsenal, of course, have no interest, in my view, of wanting to sell Rob Holding. Rob Holding is still very happy at Arsenal, doesn't have an intention to leave at the moment, as far as I'm aware. That could, of course, change if he's promised more regular first-team football. But Rob Holding is probably the best fourth-choice centre-back in the league, besides Joe Gomez, I guess. He's a very, very good option for Arsenal to have as kind of fourth-choice backup. So I don't think that Arteta would want to let Rob Holding go. And if we do, it should be for a very decent fee, considering he only signed a new deal a year or so ago. And, just for the hair alone, that his recoveries, not only on the field, but on the scalp, are very, very good indeed. So, yeah, there you go. Nicolas Pepe, however, could yet move on. Foot Mercato reporters have claimed that Nice are interested in signing Pepe on loan for the rest of the season, and that Arsenal would be open to allowing Pepe to leave on loan. You may question, well, why don't we just sell him? Good question. Answer, £140,000 per week contract, and no one is interested in signing him on a permanent deal this summer at all. No one wants to take that risk. No one wants to pay those wages. But Nice would like to sign him supposedly on a loan for the rest of the forthcoming season. Interesting indeed to see if this one happens. Would it open up the opportunity for Arsenal to then go out and sign another wide player? Potentially. If it is to sign someone and he's going to Nice, I agree with 3-pointer in the chat. Why not go Amine Gouiri and say, look, you want Pepe? Well, Guiri's quite good. I think he'd do quite well for us. Let's see if we can sort something out. But, of course, Arsenal still have their interest in other players like Yeremy Pino. However, Chelsea, according to Fabrizio Romano, are also interested in the Spanish winger, are tracking him. It seems as though anyone is interested in, Todd Bowley's like, I wonder if I could annoy them by stealing that target away. We know they tried to do it with Rafinha. We know they tried to do it with Frenkie de Jong and Manchester United. Anyone that's interested in anyone, Chelsea go, I wonder if I can also be interested in them. And that seems to be what's happening now with Yeremy Pino. Now, according to Sasha Tavalieri, who tweeted a reply to my colleague Chris Davison's tweet about a story of Youri Tielemans, he claims that he believes that Arsenal may go for Lucas Paqueta in January, and that he is, in fact, the number one attacking midfield target as to why we aren't pushing for Tielemans. I personally can't confirm this, but Sasha is a very well-connected guy, so I have no reason to believe that his thoughts aren't wrong on this. Arsenal have an interest in him. We know that Edu has come out and said that he likes the player a lot, but at this time that no kind of talks or progression in that deal has happened. But he likes him a lot. Who knows? But I agree with Sasha that it isn't an area, even with Tielemans, that I don't necessarily think we should be pushing too heavily for. For me, the priorities are the wide forward and the number 6. They're my priorities for the rest of the summer window. Now, an interesting claim. Arsenal are apparently interested in signing Callum Hudson-Odoi. This really came out of left field. It was a Chelsea podcast that have reported it, but I've seen a lot of people pick up this information and spread it. So I didn't really want to just ignore it, because a fair few people, I'm trying to now find the name of the podcast that have claimed it, but very interesting indeed that this story has kind of come forward out of nowhere, really, because Arsenal have never really been linked to Hudson-Odoi. How true that is, I personally can't tell you. It was the Chelsea Spot podcast that have apparently claimed it. Sash LT Arsenal also spread this on social, said Arsenal are one of the most likely clubs for Callum Hudson-Odoi among 4 or 5 others, and the player is pushing to leave permanently. At the minute, the 2 favourites are Aston Villa and Arsenal. I do think that the Chelsea spot did reply to that tweet and said, Chelsea are very reluctant to let him leave on a permanent deal, but Arsenal are certainly one of the clubs very interested. I'll try and do some digging on this one, but I can't see this one happening. I don't know why Chelsea would sell to Arsenal, and if they did, they would open up quite a large figure to try and get it done. Also, from Hudson-Odoi's perspective, he's gone from Chelsea, where he's not really getting many games, to Arsenal, where there's no guarantee that he would get games either. So, and why he would go behind one of his England's potential counterparts in Bukayo Saka as well. You know, although I think there was some talk about him potentially switching allegiances as well internationally. So maybe that comes into it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Moises Caicedo, I did a little bit of digging on this one yesterday. It was quite interesting because I saw someone else also tweet out what I also heard. But I spoke to Andy Naylor at The Athletic, who is the Brighton correspondent for The Athletic, and asked him about the Moises Caicedo. And I'll tell you what he said. He said, unconvinced about the validity of any of it, to be honest. United links as well. All seems very vague without much evidence at the moment. Just noise off the back of our piece. It's still early days with him. He'll make a big move someday when his form, or rather if his form continues. Won't be yet, though. Not in this window anyway. Not after selling Basuma. So he doesn't seem to think that Caicedo will go anywhere. He is unsure about the validity of these reports. And I don't blame him. I agree with him. I think that these are one of those reports that kind of just come out of nowhere. And the Express reported it initially. But how true this is, we'll have to wait and see. But he's a great player, and I'd love to see Arsenal go in for him. But it's Brighton have absolutely no interest in selling him whatsoever. Moving forwards to our final bit to talk to you about tonight at 6 p.m. We'll be doing the preview show for Arsenal against Bournemouth. So you'll be able to join me and 3 of our members from the Discord server to have a quick chat about the game. So very interesting indeed to get the thoughts of the members on the game tonight. So that will be happening at 6 p.m. So set your alarms. We'll be doing that show a little bit later on this afternoon. And that completes all of today's stories. So we're going to jump into the chat box and tackle some of your questions as well. So if you could start throwing them in, and we'll go through them as many as we can after this quick break. Okay, then. First things first, as I said at the start of the show, football prizes, the prize this week. And I would be quick because as we've been talking about these prizes, they've been selling out blooming quick. And I can tell you that this prize, as I mentioned at the start of the show, a signed Gilberto Silva, Patrick Vieira, dual-framed Arsenal montage display, has already sold 62 tickets of the 199 available. I also told you that if you do enter this raffle, you have a good chance of winning an instant prize. There are 20 available, all the way from the likes of a £5 football prizes site credit, all the way up to a signed Dennis Bergkamp shirt. Link in the description for more information. Make sure you go and check it out. But our Odegaard and Jesus sponsored prizes that we talked about in the last week sold out very fast. So just your warning, if you want to get involved, we'll be bringing you more information about more prizes as the weeks go on with our continued partnership with Football Prizes. Let's jump into the chat box. Ayush says, Tom, did you see Elon Musk's tweet where he said he's going to buy Man United? I did. I also saw his follow-up tweet where he said he was joking. So I wouldn't get too panicked or concerned about the richest man on earth buying Manchester United. He said that it was a joke and that he's always maintained he will never buy a sports team. So there you go. Manu says, I'm not going to lie to you. Haven't watched a lot of Patino in the under-23s, but he looks like a player for Blackpool. Where did we get him? How long has he been doing this? Where is his ceiling? Manu, I would point you in the direction of an article by Charles Watts, who did a really good interview with Charlie Patino's coach. So if you go onto Goal, you'll be able to find that interview. What I will say is that Patino did frustratingly suffer what looks to be a pretty bad ankle injury yesterday in their game. I would say that the images going around social media potentially don't show the full story. When you tend to see like the ankle twist as much, and it's not a pretty image, so I don't suggest you search it up. But for me, these are the types of instances where the boot actually kind of turns around the foot. You've probably had that when you've been playing football at times where you're like, if you put your foot down a certain angle, the boot actually can revolve around your foot sometimes because the boot is a lot easier to move than the foot inside it. It doesn't mean to say that it isn't a serious injury, but I think the picture potentially makes it look a lot worse than it is. We wish Charlie Patino the absolute best in his recovery and hope that he'll be fine very soon. But yes, his ceiling is very high, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. When you see a player like him go to a championship team and just look head and shoulders above the rest, as we saw with Brook Norton-Cuffy with his loan to League One, I need to say League One Lincoln, again, that's a very, very good sign indeed. So yeah, exciting. But I'd suggest go and reading that article from Charles Watts. Tulip says, why don't we go for Ndidi? Free up Partey more. Also, Zaha has a year left. Why not get him for a 2-year, as he will be 30 in November? We can really push for top 3 with both. You know, it's interesting because I've never really been interested in signing Zaha. I think he has a year left, so he'll be free at the end of this season. I don't think I'd mind signing Zaha on a free for a year or two, but there's always part of me that thinks, is it worth it? I don't know what the wages that he would want. He's probably on mad wages at Palace anyway because he's their most important player. But I always wanted to see what Zaha would do at a big club. And no, I don't really count his spell at Manchester United at the start of his career. I always want to see when he was in his prime years what he was capable of. Never really got that opportunity. So I'd be intrigued, but I can't say that I'm jumping at the chance to see it. Scarface says, Tielemans this, Caicedo that. If it's not De Jong, I'm not interested. Dan says, hey, Tom, when is the Champions League draws starting? End of this month, I think. I mean, it's worth Googling. I'm only really interested in the Europa League draw at the moment. Europa League draw dates. Let's have a quick check. When is this going to happen? Europa League playoff round draw. No. What time is the group stage draw? The 2023 UEFA Champions League group stage takes place in Istanbul on Thursday, the 25th of August, and will be streamed live at 6 o'clock Central Time. So that should be 5 o'clock UK time, 5 p.m. I imagine they'll also do the Europa League draw after that or the day after that. So that's usually what happens. But yeah, there you go. 25th of August, around that date, is when you can start to see some of those draws taking place. So the 26th, I assume, might be the Europa League draw in that case. Dom says, I've rewatched the last 3 All or Nothing episodes, and I wonder whether or not the Alba story would have played out in the same way if the All or Nothing cameras were not there. What are your thoughts? I think a lot went on without the cameras even seeing it, to be honest. I think this is a story that we've only seen the tip of the iceberg of what actually happened in that scenario. To be fair, I don't know, obviously, what wasn't shown, but I have a feeling that there was a lot that was not on camera. I would say that the next 2 episodes are very interesting. I've seen them. I won't tell you, obviously, what happens in episodes 7 and 8. You know what happens ultimately because you know how the season finished. But I'll be very honest with you, it's a painful watch, as we all thought it would be. It's a painful watch. And yeah, don't want to say get the tissues out, but yeah, it wasn't an enjoyable thing to watch them. But they'll come out on Thursday, so I look forward to you guys reacting to that. Maybe we can have a show dedicated to the entire series potentially next week. Maybe we'll do something like that, because I know I said I was going to do breakdowns, but because of the copyright situation with Amazon, and they're very stringent on it, I've just not done that. So perhaps we'll do a podcast where we just talk about the whole series, if you guys are very much indeed up for that. Draws should happen within a week or two since the playoff rounds are happening now for all 3 competitions. Absolutely right, Jose. Mo says, are you going to the Paul Davis book launch? I'm not. I do need to chase something up on that, though. But I'm not going to the book launch. No, I've got a crazy amount of stuff on at the moment. But if you are going, enjoy. Dad says, hi, Tom. Any clue on the mystery winger? With your sources, any clue you can give us? No, the honest answer is no. I think that we've got clear interest in a number of players, but who the mystery winger is, if the mystery winger even exists, what I can tell you is that, there is interest in signing a wide player. Arsenal want to sign a wide player. It's just going to be about who that ends up being. And for the moment, we just don't know. We just don't know who that is. So we look forward to seeing the end of this window. We'll be covering it all the way through to the end. I can tell you that my wedding stuff does finish in time for me to cover deadline day and all that stuff. So don't you worry. You'll have plenty of shows going up until the deadline. And I look forward to bringing you more of that juicy content. RD says, how do you guys watch the episodes beforehand? media privileges, probably the best way of putting it. Because we've done a lot of stuff around the episodes, I suppose. It's through media. It's so that basically we can write stuff about it before they come out, and then you guys can read stuff about it if you want. The embargo was yesterday, so there's probably articles about the final 2 episodes out there already. I was off yesterday, so I didn't do one. But there's stuff out there. But it's media reasons. Mohammed says, Tom, I don't think Arsenal will... I will tell you one thing. Listen out for Harry Symeou, because he's in it. Mohammed says, Tom, I don't think Arsenal will buy just for the heck of it. We will only buy someone which improves our squad, hence number 6, and maybe a winger. What are your thoughts? I think that Arsenal will not buy for the sake of it. I think you're absolutely right. But what I will say is that I think there's a chance we will still sign one more player between now and the end of the window. I don't think it'll be the number 6. Unfortunately, I think it will be the wide player that we end up signing. I am getting ever more sure that Tielemans is just not going to happen at this stage. Let's go to... Yeah, Thabo says, episode 7 and 8 are going to be our rivals' favourite episodes. They won't even need Christmas presents. You're not wrong. They will be. They absolutely will be. Equally Different says, why was Rory Jennings featured so heavily? It's good for clips, isn't it? He's good for little sound bites. It's a shame. But yeah, can't say I agree with all that much that he says, to be honest. Seems all for a reaction. Alazar says, Tom, what do you think about signing Domenico Berardi? He is the most underrated player of all time, and he's a good player. Domenico Berardi, his age profile doesn't necessarily fit with what we're after right now, unfortunately. I'm not sure it's a goer. I'm not sure if it would work. So, yeah, I like him, don't get me wrong. I just don't think age profile-wise it fits for Arsenal at the moment. Petrim says, Tom, one player recruited to take us to the top 4. Your choice, 3 a.m., should be sleeping. We'll go to sleep. But in terms of one player to change the level, if we were to sign a central midfielder, Frenkie de Jong, I think, would be the one to take us that next step. Playing Frenkie de Jong where Xhaka is unreal. So, yeah, I'm desperate for United not to sign him. I'm desperate that Chelsea don't sign him. I hope he stays at Barca because he's a hell of a midfielder. So, yeah, Frenkie de Jong would be the pick for me. Abhinav says, Tom, what do you think about Cedric? He isn't even the matchday squads. He doesn't get in the matchday squads at the moment. He's very happy at Arsenal, though. Even though he's not necessarily playing as much, he's happy at Arsenal, which you might say is potentially linked to what he's earning at Arsenal, which is a very decent wage. But he's very happy. He's very liked. Arteta likes him a lot. He's very good for the group. He's one of kind of the underrated leaders within that group, even though he doesn't start as many games, and to be honest, shouldn't be because we've got better players at right back. So I don't think he'll leave. I think he'll still stay for this season. Potentially he leaves next summer, but he will be used in the Cups and the Europa League. I imagine that's where he will get games. Gooner Gang says, Tom, does Callum Hudson-Odoi push Saka to excel? I'm concerned as a youngster. The pressure isn't there like it was last season where he was relied upon. Potentially, and that's one of the reasons why I think we need a wide forward is to push Saka. Problem with Callum Hudson-Odoi is that it just doesn't offer us enough in the middle. I'd like to see a wide player who can offer more as a centre forward as well and add that versatility so we've got more cover should we need it. VDub says, Tom, are you getting sick of reporting rumours? Personally, can't wait for the window to shut and just get on with it after 2 more signings, of course. Honest answer, no. I enjoy coming on and chatting with you guys about Arsenal and talking about transfers. If I didn't enjoy this, I wouldn't do it. It's as simple as that. It's a job, and it's a job I love to do. I quit my last job to do this and talk about Arsenal and write about Arsenal full time. So the honest answer is no, I don't. I'm not sick of it because I love doing it. So I hope you love listening to it. Otherwise, I'm assuming you wouldn't listen in. So, but thank you for tuning in as always, VDub, and for being a member, of course, too. Anton says, who's the first choice left back when Tierney is back to full form? So whoever's playing best. We don't need to say who is the number 1 right now. It's whoever's playing the best. Whoever's playing the best starts. Whoever suits the situation best starts. That's what we need to see. So I don't think we need to pick someone right now. It just is what it is. It's a quote Love Island. It is what it is. Manu says, how does 20% sell-on clause influence the sale of players like Amadou Onana? I know it's early in his debut, wasn't all that, but if he develops, he could be a ready-made Partey replacement. How does the sell-on clause influence the sale? Interesting question. in short, a sell-on clause, if you're buying a player that has a sell-on clause, it's probably going to cost you more. The reason why it's going to cost you more is because the selling club know they're going to have to give up 20% or whatever percentage of that fee to the club they bought them from. So they're going to try and increase the value of that player, try and get more money for that player in order to not lose out as much when it comes to sell-on clauses. Arsenal have been a lot better in adding sell-on clauses to players they've let go of, like Joe Willock, like Guendouzi, like Joe Willock. I've said him twice. Konstantinos Mavropanos. They've added sell-on clauses into these players, and they will be looking as well to make sure that that is used in any potential deal. I imagine they may have even put one into Torreira's contract also, but they're trying to add those sell-on clauses in as little kind of additional financial bumps to the club. So the selling club, you pay the difference. No. So say if there's a 20% sell-on clause and a guy is sold for 80 million, you know, the club that the other club bought them from will receive 16 million quid, and the buying club will receive 64 million pounds. That's just how it works. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that, but selling clubs will up the price because they know that they're going to lose a certain percentage because of that sell-on clause. So that's kind of how it works. Deep Kundu, thank you so much for becoming a member and helping support the channel. Really, really appreciate it. Super Cat says, quick maths. Indeed, you know, mental maths, that was just, it sounds so sad, but that was one of my favorite things in primary school. We used to do this thing called table champs. So it'd be like, you do your 5 times table, 6, 30, boom. 8 times 6, 48. I just go and smashing through these. Yeah, I'm sad. And Nizakit says, hi, Tom. Out of our youngsters, who do you think is the most likely to win Young Player of the Year? For me, I think Saliba may win if he continues the way he's been playing. At the moment, absolutely. Saliba, I think, would be one of the favourites. But we're 2 games in. Let's just chill. Like, you know, so much more can happen between now and the end of the season. I actually want to, before we wrap things up, and we've still got 3 minutes left, I do want to throw a question into the chat box, because I was listening to the Askcast just now. They were talking about the whole title race scenario. So the question is, if I offered you, I have to type and talk at the same time, so bear with me. If I offered you 4th and an FA Cup trophy right now, would you take it? The reason, don't vote too quickly. The reason why I'm asking this question is because it kind of builds that sense of what people's excitement levels are. Because if I said you can have 4th and an FA Cup trophy right now, you can take that in this very moment. If you say yes, you're obviously saying, wow, I'm cashing in. Yeah, progression from last season, take it. If you say no, there's a part of you that potentially feels that there is something exciting that we can get that's more than that. And I'm just interested to kind of gauge how people are feeling about kind of the potential of this season. I'm not going to use silly words like title races. But what I am going to say is that I think there is scope for this Arsenal team to achieve more than 4th and a trophy this year. I'd like to see how far they could go. Would I take 4th and an FA Cup trophy? You know, if I was on playing Saturday Night Takeaway of Ant and Dec, I think I'd gamble at this stage. I'm very intrigued what this Arsenal team can do. In the chat box, over 100 of you have voted already. 65% of you have said yes. 35% of you have said no. And I love the 35% of you. I respect the 65%. Fair play. Take it. You don't gamble. Fair play to you. 35% of you, though. I love the optimism. Absolutely brilliant. Fresh says, I want the Europa League. Rich says, I'd take it, but I think 3rd is doable. Deep Kundu says, Tom, how do you think we'll play against Bournemouth's low block? Tune in at 6 p.m. tonight for our preview show, Deep Kundu, and you will certainly find out our thoughts on that. Big Fats of Blacky says, 2022-23 invincible season coming in. Francois says, Arsenal is finishing 2nd this time around. Rich says, 3rd in UEFA Cup, or whatever it's called now, Europa League. Addicted 92 says 4th and Europa. Dave says yes. What is realistically more than that? 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are effectively the same. Of course, Europa League, Dave, does come into it as well. Potentially 2 cups more than just 1. Who knows? But I'm intrigued. If you're watching on playback, let us know what you would have voted for. Would you have voted to take 4th and FA Cup right now? or would you rather wait? It may be a bit more interesting if I just said fourth. Maybe people think we can get more than that and would not gamble it. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Absolute pleasure, as always. As I said, I'll be back at 6 p.m. UK time to do a preview show with some of the members from the Discord server. So do make sure you tune in then. It's been a genuine pleasure. It as always is. Drop a like. We managed to hit 1,000 likes again on yesterday's stream. It takes you just a second to click that button, and it really, really does help us out. So thank you for continuing to support the show. I will see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.